on the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. There's so much going on right now. Like, just going into this, I was already confusing myself with all sorts of crazy thoughts. Like, there's so much information flowing around right now that it's funny. I get a lot of emails from people that tell me stuff that I totally have already seen, totally already know, but I haven't talked about. So the perception, I think, amongst people is Dan probably doesn't know about it. It's like, I can't talk about everything. I don't talk about everything. There's a lot of stuff I take in as information just to kind of keep tabs on all the crazy woo shit that's out there. Some of it I'm very fond of, so I share some of that, obviously, like UFOs and stuff. Love talking about that, all right? But we've got a situation where there is rumors that people are being taken out. There's rumors that the government's going to cut the military's going to come in and take the government out. Like, there's just there's a lot of strong things being said. I think there's some psyops on both sides. We're going to talk about this kind of. There's just weird connections all over. I think there is this push to get us fired up, our side specifically, fired up so we go out and do something weird after the election. Now, there's a strong chance they're going to fully cheat. Like, there's a slim chance in my mind that they won't be able to. I'm praying to God we've got enough people to get out and vote. You must vote. No vote is a bad thing. No vote means you're actually giving it to the deep state. It means you're letting the deep state use your vote or substitute your vote. You see, if 100,000 people are registered to vote and 100,000 people vote, well, you're going to be like, oh, all right, well, everyone showed up. That's kind of weird. If 300,000 people vote, well, that's a problem too, because it's more than, right? But if you didn't vote and 100,000 people are registered and 100,000 people vote, or 95,000 or whatever, and you didn't vote, that means they took your vote, or at least their fake vote doesn't get questioned because you didn't vote. I hate voting. Hate it. I don't hate much. You guys know me. I correct myself when I say I don't like voting. I still don't like hate. I don't like voting. Dislike it tremendously for all the reasons most people don't like voting. I feel like I'm giving them permission for their crap candidates, right? I feel like I'm sort of saying, yeah, that's okay. Consent of the governed, as it says in the Constitution. So I feel like I'm consenting by voting, which I don't think is the case. Well, right, wrong, and different. I think that's kind of what we're doing. And at the same time, we're consenting to a candidate that cares about this country and wants to make changes. And we're sure of that. We've seen it. He's being attacked. So we consent to him. But Kamal is part of the whole cabal. And by not voting, we're giving them the vote. Our lack of vote is consent for them. It is. Because they're going to steal your vote. Whether they take your actual ID and vote with it, maybe. Or use an illegal alien that votes, but since you didn't vote, doesn't throw the numbers off in any sort of weird way, so they can get away with overtaking your vote. Voting instead of you. In lieu of you. Some illegal that actually cares is going to vote instead of you. We have to vote. I'm going tomorrow. We changed our plans tonight. I'm actually making interesting soup. We don't need to get into that. It's going to be yummy. Working on it already. Broth is going right now. Got some bones in there. My poor girlfriend's got some joint problems right now, so we're going to make some bone broth and make some soup out of it. It's going to be rad. Delicious, in fact. And I get to drink beer all day, so I'm having a great time. But we have to get out and do our part. Have to. We've got a serious situation going on. They are going to cheat. There's a possibility that the cheating is going to be impossible. That has been the push. I'm doing my part. I know my audience, reasonably small in the big picture. I think you guys ripple well, so I'm hoping we can get some traction here. But we've got to change things. We've got to get it going, and we've got to understand this is the last chance we really are going to get. This is it. Can't wait for them to figure it out. Kid Rock did a cool little thing here, and I don't know. It's worth kind of playing. I think it kind of speaks to the bigger picture that we've got going on right now. And again, things are not as simple as we want. There's a lot of people that got tied up in stuff, maybe illegally hardcore, which they should pay, or in sort of side weird ways. Maybe they've got embarrassing photos of them doing gay things, for lack of a better way, right? Like, there's just A lot of very interesting things that are happening, information that's coming out. There's huge disclosure happening. There's an explosion of information. I feel like Kid Rock's kind of touching upon this a little, being kind of cool, political, get out and vote, all the above. I think there's a little read between the lines with this, but again, worth listening to.
Now that I have your attention, I love Eminem. We've been friends for many years. I don't agree with his politics, but I do give credit to him and people like Taylor Swift for standing up and not being afraid to be vocal for that in which they believe. Thinking differently and having the freedom to do so is what makes this country great. My stance is unequivocally MAGA because I know in my heart, mind, body, and soul that President Trump will make America great again. God bless the USA.
Here's the thing. A lot of people are, can question that. Be like, what the hell is he saying? Why is he saying that? But here's kind of, I think, a little between the lines for you to help you if you're not seeing it. He's got other rock star friends. He's got other famous people that knows him. Kid Rock's like in the loop with a lot of people. Actors, actresses, musicians, recording artists, producers, everything under the sun when it comes to that business. What he's doing is, one, offering up kind of an olive branch to those that are sort of speaking for the other side and maybe, hopefully, giving us an opportunity here on our side to be like, everyone doesn't have to agree with us. Right? There's conspiracies around everything. It doesn't mean it's true just because there's conspiracies. Some might be, some might not. I don't know what's going on with Taylor Swift and all that. The breakup never happened when they said it was going to, right? All the stuff with the football player guy, Travis or whatever the hell his name is. I don't care about this stuff. But this is one of the things. So he's showing the way to his friends. Sometimes some of us are communicating to not maybe the broad picture, but maybe a very small subsect, and then hoping that the broad picture can read between the lines. But honestly, it doesn't happen that often, unfortunately. It just is what it is. When you play the numbers, it plays how it does. So understand, sometimes things maybe not as easily black and white as we want them to be. General Flynn is on the ground assisting with hurricane relief efforts. Says people need heaters, generators, and fuel providers. So he's got a couple sites that he's given if you want to be able to help or want to donate, or if you've got any abilities to do that. Heal-corp.org. Heal-corp.org. SpartanSword.org. SpartanSword.org, or S-words, as the very funny Saturday Night Live bitwit, but SpartanSword.org, and then citizendefendingfreedom.com. Citizensdefendingfreedom.com. Citizens with an S, citizensdefendingfreedom.com. Tough. So I probably jacked you guys on that a little bit, but hopefully you can rewatch it. Fuck me. Citizensdefendingfreedom.com. There you go. That's it. I'm not going to freaking say it anymore because I'll fuck it up even further. Fuck that. Help out if you can. Please. Good God. Help me, Almighty. Help me, Lord. Jesus, take the wheel. All right. Donald Trump posted this. Cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny, and when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences, so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into third world nation, and we won't. Please be aware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at all levels. Unfortunately, never seen before in our country. We mean business, every single one of us. The hit piece from The Atlantic is part of the PSYOP designed to provoke a third assassination attempt and justify mass post-election violence. I don't actually agree with this take, but we're going to go through it a little bit, and then I'll show you why I agree kind of the opposite. The outlandish hit piece on Donald Trump published this week by Jeffrey Goldberg at The Atlantic, which was immediately denied on the record by all people who were in the room with Trump, isn't just a shoddy smear that would never have passed muster in newsroom 20 years ago. It's more than that. It's part of a larger psyop to justify mass post-election violence if Trump wins in November, to signal activists to reject the results of the election, to divide the military, and to coax an insurgency out of the radical left wing based on the Democratic Party, or based in the Democratic Party. So they're saying this is meant to infuriate the left. I don't actually think that's true. First off, The Atlantic's audience is the left, but this actually feeds into their standard thinking process. Who this pissed off was the actual right. People on the right, conservatives. They were upset with this made-up story, not the people on the left. It fed into their narrative. So maybe, and this is where it's maybe true, maybe they've been pumping all this crap into people's heads, believe this, but when eventually they somehow find out it's not true, then they'll be angry. I feel like that could possibly be way further down the road than they realize, unless it's the Trump's got no chance in hell of winning, and then he wins again, and then they freak out, maybe. I mean, they are sensitive, fragile people, soy boys and everything else. But I actually think this is meant to piss off our side. They want us, because they're going to try to steal this election. And if they do, that doesn't mean it's over. Us being calm, us following the law, us not freaking out is going to be key. Now, I don't know, again, how for sure this is. I've told you guys, I'm prepared for it's not for sure at all. We need every single vote to be out there because we need that overwhelming number so we can give them a chance to fight this. That's it. That's all we got. Folks, that's all we can do. You run out on the street with any number of crazy things in your hands, sticks, stones, and Second Amendment stuff, and you're going to die. You're going to be made an example of. You're not going to benefit anybody. We aren't organized like that right now. We just aren't. And we kind of shouldn't be. Yet. If that needs to happen, we'll deal with that down the road. I don't think that's the case. I think we need to see this play out. I think we've got friends helping us. But if we freak out and run into the streets, it's us that's going to be painted as the criminals. And we already are. We're the extremist MAGAs. We're the MAGAs. We're the Hitler people. We're all that shit. So let's try not to prove them right. And if there is going to be any violence, and this post is correct, then let's let that be the people on the left, especially the crazy-ass super left people, Antifa, the people that were throwing stuff during Black Lives Matter, not the normal people that were like, yeah, people shouldn't die, especially people of color, and all that. Like it was a good movement that got co-opted very quickly and destroyed. So those radical parts of our society do need to be dealt with, and the only way to really do that is to catch them in the act, bust them for good, make it a severe penalty, and we'll see. But there's a lot to this, and we've got to play our side correctly. With early voting underway in the key battleground state of Georgia, a top election official in the state forcefully pushed back Wednesday on false claims of voting machine fraud, a debunked conspiracy theory that proliferated after the 2020 presidential election and has now been revived by some prominent Republican figures, Marjorie Taylor Greene. There is zero evidence of machine flipping an election vote, said Gabrielle Sterling, a top official. Sterling, in his comments, called out certain congresspeople, appearing to reference Republican Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who recently pushed an unsubstantial allegation that a Georgia resident's early vote had been switched by voting machines. This is the one where the lady printed the thing out like 3 times or whatever. And then finally they had to switch machines. and then it worked okay? Yeah, that's what she's referring to, Marjorie Taylor Greene, an actual factual incident. Not just trying to top down say, hey, this stuff doesn't happen at all. Trust what we say. Well, Georgia, you got all sorts of crazy stuff that you haven't done properly. Raffensperger has actually acknowledged that there's some problems with the voting equipment, and yet nothing's been done. And they said they wouldn't do anything until after the election because there wasn't enough time. That was 2 years ago. There's been plenty of time. And when is there going to be time? We got another election within 2 years of this election. When's there ever going to be time to fix the problem? Unless we fix the problem. It's kind of simple. It's a game they play, and it's easy to kick the ball down the road, unquestionably. Ballots damaged in a Phoenix mailbox fire. So apparently some dude, he claims he didn't do it for political reasons. I don't believe anything anymore, but maybe it's true. Might be. Some dude that wanted to get arrested. I don't know. Didn't like being homeless. Not sure. Quote, wanted to be arrested. So went to a drop box at a postal office, by the way. Caught it on fire somehow. Fire department showed up, ripped the thing open, put it out. Probably a lot of people that voted there and put in drop boxes probably lost their ballots. I'm trying to find where this actually was. But yeah, here it is. Drive-up collection box was at U.S. Post Office on North 7th Avenue near West Indian School Road. So if that means anything to you and you put a vote in there in that drop box, you probably don't have a vote in that drop box. It probably caught fire, so you might want to do something. If not, and you're a Democrat, I didn't say anything. Nothing makes sense. Yeah, go on without me. All right, there you go. That's the closest I can do to shifting blame, right? Ooh, right? Like anyway, China dominated BRICS economic bloc on Thursday. Announced it has added 13 more nations. Again, folks, I don't know what to say, but the SWIFT system is definitely the deep state system. Anybody that's gotten onto the BRICS system's kind of been punished. There's been a lot of that kind of stuff going on. This seems to be an alternate system, a new system. We'll see what's going on, but if anything, it's the one that, in my mind, is tested to get us out of the SWIFT system. So I feel like that's probably the secondary system. A lot of people talking to Sarah Jassara, and there's going to be this new quantum system that's going to come online. Maybe BRICS is that, but here's the thing. You have to test stuff like that, and you can't just drop the whole world on it at once because there's no fucking way it's actually going to work properly. Nothing ever does. That's why you test the shit out of stuff. It's just how it's done. This extraordinarily complex system, all these financial systems, and it's not just easy to flip the switch. We did some coding, we did a couple of reviews, tested it. Now, real life and the numbers you're dealing with, there's not a lot of things that can test it. So this BRICS thing is the only other solid, viable, tested platform that's out there. And it's growing a lot, an awful lot. Precious metals, gone up a bunch lately. They're sitting at a nice little kind of plateau before the next set of bad news comes in. Can't wait to see what that is. And, I mean, honestly, the election's going to play a huge role. Folks, if you're in a deep state 401k or IRA, I very highly recommend on getting out. Precious metals are done very, very well. They are holding up as far as assets go. They are extraordinarily positive, even when you take inflation in. Them and Bitcoin, which, by the way, Bitcoin, I think, took a big crap this morning. Not big crap, but probably went down a bit because of some bad news that came out. Whatever. I don't follow Bitcoin too closely. Gold, on the other hand, silver and platinum and just precious metals in general are doing very well. And it's not necessarily a good sign per se. It means the economy's in a bad place, which we are. And the people, countries too, by the way, are buying large quantities of precious metals. It's part of what's causing the prices to go up. There's tons being bought by China, Russia, a lot of countries. Be smart like them. Understand what's happening like them. Get out of the 401k. Get out of the IRA. Tax-free, penalty-free. Get out of their system. They no longer have your money to spend. It's now in precious metals that sits in a trust that you own, and it's physical metal. It's in a trust that you own, and they can't touch it or do anything with it. They can't invest with it. They can't use it. They can't try to do ESG stuff. They can't try to traffic children. They can't do anything because you have taken your wealth out of their system. And here's the thing. If you wait for them to finally make their move, they're going to take the wealth away from you. Now, we don't know exactly when, don't know exactly how, but we see the writing all over the wall. They want you to eat bugs. Let's Klaus Schwab. Watch a little bit of what he's saying. Noel Harari, that dude. Listen to a little of what he has to say. I'm not making shit up, folks. You got to make your own decisions because it's a risk. Who knows? It's a risk staying in their system, and it's a risk getting out of it. But sometimes you've got to risk assess. We'll see what you choose. I'll tell you what, when you're ready to make that decision, go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Let my good friends at Goldco help you through this. They can do it quickly. They're very efficient. They've got multiple suppliers. They can help make this happen as quickly as you can probably move. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. Looking forward to the music we got going on today, by the way, as I transition. It's going to be good. Foreigner today. It's good stuff. All right, so yeah, this is what is it, the whites for Kamala? White men for Kamala? That's supposedly an image of them. Check it out. White dudes for Kamala. That's some dog love right there for you, folks. And if you didn't see that, well, that's unfortunate. I don't think describing that's legal. That's for sure. All said. Kamala Harris, their playbook. We talked about this yesterday. I'm just glad this ended up in my world because this is exactly what I was talking about, and this is exactly what they're doing right now.
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
It's called creating a falsity, getting the media to report that falsity is true, and then you reference back to the media because that's the valid story. This is what they do. You can't fight it. It's one of those things where if you waste time, like this is why I don't share these stories. If you waste time showing them, one, you're giving them extra energy, but two, you could be focusing that time on, dude, here's where we're going. Here's the good things that are happening. Here's where we're winning. Here's some, challenges, but not paying attention to their stupid smears. Who cares? So, Fani Willis literally visited the White House to collude with the Biden-Harris regime in an attempt to throw the leading presidential candidate in jail, right? This is, of course, Kamala Harris's post that happened just recently. She says, Donald Trump has been very clear that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. You know he does that. Dictators do that. Or you know who does that? Dictators do that. Well, Kamala and Biden, you've been doing that. That's what you have been doing. You've shown that you're a dictator. Trump hasn't even had an opportunity to dictate all over you, money shot-wise. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump has been very clear, same post, Vigilant News, says in response. And what do you call all of the prosecutors in the Trump witch hunts, meetings with the White House before the charges were brought? Have a little self-awareness, for fuck's sake. Please, agree with that. Here's some more people in Pennsylvania that are kind of tired of how this keeps playing out.
I can't. I think part of the reason why I'm being pushed towards Trump so strongly is that I find that the Democrats and the left just keep going straight to Hitler all of the time with everything. Like it, and if it's not the left pushing Hitler, it's the right pushing Stalin. So it's like we're fighting World War II every single day for every single election. So it's so exhausting. I think it just it pushes me away from their position, and it's so hyperbolic that it makes it impossible to have good discussions, and I think it ruins the discourse.
Does anybody think it's valuable or something you want to hear from the vice president? Anybody? Raise your hand if you think this is something that's important for her to be talking about. Anybody? Bueller.
Yeah, no. Nobody out there. Auschwitz survivor has some things to say about all this Hitler talk and stuff.
My name is Jerry Wartsky. I'm 94 years old and survivor of Auschwitz and the death marches. Adolf Hitler invaded Poland when I was 9 years old. He murdered my parents and most of our family. I know more about Hitler than Kamala will ever know in 1,000 lifetimes. For her to accuse President Trump of being like Hitler is the worst thing I've ever heard in my 75 years living in the United States. I know President Trump, and he would never say this, and Kamala Harris knows this. She owes my parents and everybody else who was murdered by Hitler an apology for repeating this lie.
Why should the Jewish people support President Trump?
Because he's a mensch. I believe that President Trump is definitely going to be good for Israel, because in everything that he's done up to now was in favor. He never double-crossed anyone, and he never showed any weakness. Watching President Trump pray for the hostages at the Ohel and spend time with him so meaningful. He has always stood with the Jewish people and the state of Israel.
Now, I understand there's a lot of people out there, some anyways, that don't necessarily question what happened. I don't know. I read the Viktor Frankl, A Man's Search for Meaning? I read that book when I was younger. That impacted me a lot. I've never known anyone directly but that was in the camps, but I've known people that had family members that were in the camps. So, like, I've known people firsthand that were touched by this, I guess. And knowing how much evil exists in the world these days, I don't find it hard to believe that they did just round up a group of people. In fact, we're sort of seeing the equivalent of that, certainly at COVID, I think is where we saw it the most, and it just didn't take traction, thank God. We saw it the most during then. And that was when they wanted to round up people that weren't getting the shots. They were either going to fire you, put you out of a job, you have no money, and the only way you're going to get any government stuff at all is to get the jab. That's what they were going to do. Didn't work because of you guys. Again, this is why I'm not sure if they're going to pull off the steal. We have effed up their stuff every step of the way so far. We've stopped them. We, you and me, have stopped them so far. And others. I don't want to assume it's just me, please. There's a huge group of us. So who knows? But we've got to prepare. We got to know. We got to know what they're trying to do to us. We got to know what they're going to try to get us to do. And we've got to know how to play that 5D chess move back without letting them get the move they want. We have to mess up to lose. They have to pull off some insanity to be able to win at this point. Now, oddly, Washington Post has done some opinion posts, stories recently. Few of the headlines. Kamala Harris forgets to hide her abortion radicalism. Why Harris's pitch to Muslim and Arab American voters is failing. Harris's closing arguments is dishonest, desperate, and hypocritical. Kamala Harris needs a minute. The doubt standards for Harris and Trump has reached a breaking point. And by the way, can I ask someone a question out there? Because my remembrance of grammar is if the word ends in an S and you throw an apostrophe, you don't go apostrophe S, you just go apostrophe because it's already got an S on it, so it's just implied. If it ends in any other letter, you add an S after the apostrophe, right? So Harris's closing arguments, really, Washington Post? Am I wrong, guys? Maybe grammar changed. Maybe grammar changed. I don't know. They got ESG in school and stuff, and we got this new math. Maybe we got new grammar. It's possible. I don't know. I don't speak it, I don't think, but meh. So something that may sound familiar to you because it's been in our face for... Everyone says history repeats, and the book I was reading recently it was the neatest take on it ever, and I agree with her. And it's funny, Ruth is her last name, I think. Said history doesn't actually repeat itself. It rhymes with itself. And I think that actually makes more sense. So she kind of keeps bringing that up throughout the book. It's really cool how she sprinkles it in. But victory doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And it kind of matters. Maybe the distinction might take some time, but it kind of matters.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
Sleeping people do very easy. It's easy to see what they're doing. Sleeping people are very easy to program. They're going to do what they're going to do. Nothing you can do, I don't think. A lot of people wake up on their own. I think it's a God thing. I think it's our higher self thing, like when it happens. I truly do. I have, for years, tried to wake people up, and all it did is I found I frustrated myself and actually others a tremendous amount, and I found it to be very ineffective. And then I found when I just sat back and paid attention, have a couple key questions you ask people to find common ground if you can, but you ask a couple key questions, figure out who they are. If they're interestingly open, you're like, oh, okay, let's expand this further. And sometimes I'd end up finding people that were very awake just like me. That it's kind of like the, I don't know if you guys have heard the story, that fish symbol, right? I don't know, that Christian fish symbol that a lot of you guys know about. My understanding of the way that worked was when they were in prison or whatever, like or out in the prison yard, or I don't know how it worked exactly, but they would draw, supposedly with their foot in the ground, the bottom half of the fish, like a smiley face. And then if the other guy got what was up, probably a secret society to a degree, but whatever, they'd draw the top part of the fish, and then they'd scribble it out. And that's how they knew they were both Christians. That's my understanding of the story. You guys can correct me there too. I'm probably going to get a shit ton of emails. Apologize for all the stuff, but whatever. That's where we are at right now. Trying to identify who's who around us. Trying to identify who's a risk, who's a threat. And you shouldn't be judgmental per se. Just because someone's brown does not mean they're a threat. No. When you talk to them and they're like, and they think suddenly a bomb blows up somewhere, yeah, I'd probably question them. Okay? But otherwise, just because they've got a name from another country doesn't mean they're bad. Listen with your heart, not with your mind. Listen with your heart, not with your mind. Your heart will see it. Your heart will see it. They'll see their soul. Let that come through. We're in the most important part. I feel like, I'm sorry, and I'm probably being like some of you guys are like, what the fuck are you talking about, Dan? I feel like we're going right into the fire right now. I really do. It's kind of one of those things where like, all right, everybody, we're good, right? Thumbs up if we're good. Can you breathe? Like check each other's equipment. Like we're about to jump out of the plane. I don't fucking know. It's good, right? I feel like, I know we're going to make it, but I'm like, supposed to be helping, right? Man, I'm scared. I hope. It's like parenting, I hope. I don't have kids. This is the best I got. I got a lot of kids out there with you guys. I mean, maybe in real life, I hope not. I've been pretty safe most of the time. But I worry about all you guys. All of you. I can't sleep at night sometimes. Just funny, since I've moved, I have not had to take melatonin like twice, I think. It's odd. I've been here a year. I have not. It's weird. I just realized that. That's good. That's a great sign. Thank you. This was a funny meme that was put out by Marjorie Taylor Greene. But whoever denies me before men, him I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. That's Matthew 10:33. Very awesome numbers, by the way. And then Kamala going to the gates. Peter's there. He's like, oh, I think you're at the wrong rally. Fitting. Whoops. Fitting for her, for sure. Where is that? I feel like I messed up somewhere. DNC turned Kamala campaign collapsed to CNN. What happened? I feel like... There we go. Amazon has finally explained why they're elected. This is kind of funny. Okay, so I guess people we're asking the Alexa to talk about the election. I think we shared it one time about who's going to win the election, and Alexa was, or Google, or Amazon was saying, "Hey, look, no, we've specifically turned off program. Like you ask about Trump or Biden, not going to bring it up. But someone asked about Kamala, and they actually hadn't actually fixed the code to show her as the president, right? Like that she wasn't the president when they first wrote this code. And then, as a programmer, you move on to all sorts of other crap. You're like, we got that covered. Well, they didn't fix the Kamala thing. The thing that's funny, I guess, wink, wink, is there were so few people that were doing it that it didn't show up on their radar. Like there wasn't enough people making noise. It was so small scale. Why was it so small scale? Apparently, so they tell us, that only 225 times had someone actually asked that question to Alexa. First off, most of us that have any clue know not to have our Alexa turned on, but those of you that don't, do what you got to do. It's always listening. But yes, 225 times. That was it. That's not that many. In the computer world, you need thousands or millions, depending. So, yeah. Mel Gibson got approached at the airport. Might be interesting what you think he says.
The president is being voted on in days. What's your thoughts?
Oh man, that's a big question.
What's wrong?
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for.
Well, so I mean, I'm gonna guess.
We go in. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Trump. Is that a bad guess?
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Well, what do you think the world will be like in a second term with President Trump's second term? A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record, appalling track record, no policies to speak of.
Yeah. And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
Kind of mean to fence posts. Mr. Gibson. Is he not like what Clint Eastwood wishes he was, right? Like, Clint Eastwood is so soy boy now, probably. Dude, Mel Gibson's Lethal Weapon, baby. I love it. I love this man. I will forever love this man. And he did Passion of the Christ, which is one of the hardest movies I ever went to saw. Seriously, I went and saw that movie, and I walked out of it so pissed off at humanity. I was so pissed off at humanity. Wow. Yeah, they're like, oh, no, they killed him. It's like, no. We did. We let it happen. I mean, it needed to, I guess, right? That's what the belief is, but we killed him. We threw stones at him. I was fucking angry as hell after that movie. I hated everybody. Everybody. I thought freaking everybody sucked. It's so brutal what we did to that beautiful man. Kills me. People talk about being Christians. Don't even know. All right, this George Santos homie is trying to get into his little story, trying to cover his butt, and we think we actually know what it has to do with. But we need the evidence, if there is some. So I feel like this is a ploy to the deep state, and that might be what this is. And Santos may be playing his part, where it's like we're leaking this out into the public, and this is kind of how our side does it, because we actually know we got the goods. And this is a threat to the deep state. It's like, all right, you're doing all this shit. Here's what we got. What do you got? What do you actually got? You got stories, sure. We got the goods, I think.
Hey guys, so I've been consulting with legal on my side to see what my exposure is if I come guns a-blazing and mention the outlet and the journalists and everybody involved in this and this cover-up. I don't want folks to think, and I see a lot of people trying to say this is for clickbait. Like, I'm sorry, what, the $200 I get every 2 weeks from X, and this is really what I'm going to go out of my way for? I don't think so. This is more about truth and transparency, similar to the laptop story from 2020. So I just wanted to give you guys an update that I'm not holding back. I just don't have the video. I know what's in the video. I know what's being talked about. I know what the story is. And quite frankly, just to quell the skepticism, it's not Kamala Harris committing a crime. But I mean, what are you guys crazy? No, it's literally just putting her in a place and time where she needs to answer those questions for the American people to know what kind of moral judgment character she is. So stay tuned. As soon as my legal team is done giving me the cover I need, I will be coming back on here and giving you guys more to this. So I will be in touch with you guys soon. Take care.
I hope Santos is a good guy. I mean, I do. I always hope for the best. I really, really, really do. I don't trust many people right now is the hard part, unfortunately, because there's just a whole slew of people that aren't trustworthy. A spokesperson or spokeshole for the Harris campaign confirmed that Kamala said no after being invited to Joe Rogan. Interesting. So she supposedly turned it down. We're not going to waste our time listening to this douchehole, but spokeshole, douchehole, tomato, depends where it's growing. People leave Kamala's rally, though. This is kind of interesting. If I'm going to waste a little time, this one's kind of fun. So a lot of people, they're saying, showed up for this. Now, I'm not going to play all 4 minutes of this, and I'm going to say, big Bruce Springsteen fan. Don't know if I've done him yet. I'm sure he's on my list. I'll probably still do him because back when he didn't suck, he was actually pretty good. In fact, he was the boss, some of us thought. I liked him. And then he got stupid. It's happening to a bunch of people, but we know who's been to Epstein Island, probably. So I'm just saying, guys, this is the unveiling, and maybe it's not as many of them as we feared. Like, we might actually get to end up with a few actors that we like. We might end up with a few musicians that we like. We might. Don't sell them all out. These guys were in a shit industry. But anyway, here's, unfortunately, a frail, fragile former self playing himself in the... Anyway.
Now it's time for some entertainment. Here we go. I get up in the evening and I ain't got nothing to say. Come home in the morning, I go to bed feeling the same way. I ain't nothing but tired. Man, I'm just tired and bored with myself.
Tired and bored with your AIDS. What is going on with you, dude? Anyway, I don't mean to be mean. I hope you're not sick. I'm sorry. Man, you look skinny. Man, you don't look healthy. Where's that voice that I fell in love with? What the fuck? You changed the song so you could actually, like, in the evening, and I don't know what the fuck you say. I get the shit out of Dodge. Man, that hurts me. It hurts me. It hurts me a lot in the soul. Needless to say. People started supposedly leaving. I don't know, this video's not as good, but... Oh, cricket's cool. That helps. I can sort of talk through it. So, I don't know. They're saying people are leaving. I feel like the next one gets into it a little better. But these are supposedly the areas we need to pay attention to as people are, literally leaving once the boss stopped. She's talking right now. Okay, so once the boss did his thing on the chicken wing string. So then this kind of sort of is also being shown.
And it is time to turn the page.
Maybe they just all want to go to the bathroom. That is entirely possible. But anyway, I don't know. Does not matter. On political endorsements. So the Washington Post finally came out, and this is the rag owned by the dude for Amazon, I believe. I think. But he's like, nah, we're not endorsing anybody. And here's the reason why. It's not because Kamala sucks. No. And then we want to keep selling newspapers. But it's it's because we want to go back to our roots where we don't like really say anybody. Like, no, we're going to be in the middle. We're going to be nonpartisan. Like news is supposed to be, frankly. That's what they're claiming right now. But come on. Is that why, do you think? I mean, no. Amazon? The Bezos guy? No. Oh, this is good. Prepare for cuss words. In fact, extra cuss words, lots of cuss words, extreme amounts of F words. Skip this if you're sensitive in any way, shape, or form. It's hilarious, and it's how all of us feel right now. I am sharing it for that reason because I think I've already said more than 40 F words, I think. I haven't been counting. I wish. That'd be cool if I had a counter. I'd probably use them more often, though, so it's probably not a good idea. Anyway, here, check this out.
At this damn point, this a full-fledged comedy fucking movie. Your vice president just got on live television yesterday and said even though she's been studying and debating all this motherfucking time and she's been in office all this fucking time, she still gotta go study the goddamn policies again before she give you a direct answer. Before she ever tell you anything, she gotta go study that shit again while she fucking in office. You can't make this cartoon ass movie shit up. You can't make this shit up. This bitch is retarded. She don't answer questions. Every last one of y'all that's following this bitch is retarded. And they're gonna keep going gaslight you, talk about the lesser of two evils. Well, the lesser of two can fucking complete a fucking sentence. Can answer one fucking question. One. I'm asking for one fucking answer to anything. This bitch go all the way around. All we know about is she was a middle class fucking child, and we did it, Joe. That's all the fuck we know about this bitch.
Sorry. Oh, God, I found that to be joyful for the soul. That was like rain. You know, that first good spring rain? Oh, it was delicious. Delicious. All right, some election shit. Republican official, and some will piss you off, some will make you happy, whatever. Republican official in Georgia has filed an appeal challenging a court order that requires her and other election officials to certify election results by the strict deadline. So they're fighting it back. That's awesome. She's like, F you. If we feel like something shenanigans have happened, that's our job. We can't just force certification. So this one lady who's probably going to get thrown in jail by the leftist crazy-ass GOP, Merrick Garland, I don't know, let's throw in Mayorkas too, and Biden Harris. I don't know, I could throw more names, it's not worth it. They're going to throw her ass in jail. They'll probably stomp on her. Lancaster County Board of Elections. It's a bunch of nonsense, but they said the Board of Elections staff member has been identified in contained incidents of voter registration fraud. Election staff and district attorneys' offices are currently assessing the nature and volume of the fraud. Suspected fraudulent voter registration forms were dropped off at the Board of Elections office in 2 batches at or near deadlines for submission. There are approximately 2,500 voter registration applications totaling in these 2 batches. Concerns were raised during the staff's normal process to review the applications into the statewide Uniform Registry of Electors, the SURE system. Makes you feel sure, doesn't it? Anyways, law enforcement was alerted, which is maybe it works. Maybe this is a new thing. Maybe SURE is actually a good thing, right? I'm just being a dick, so I don't trust anything anymore, but I don't know. It caught it. It just looks like when the FBI catches something bullshit, right? And like you're like, were you behind it? How'd you actually catch something? Like, I don't know. I just have a hard time trusting right now. It sucks. Their Lancaster County election system is secure, they're saying, of course. But the Board of Elections and District Attorney, they're going to provide an update at some point to let us know why this is happening and what's going on, and is there more of it, even possibly. Federal judge blocked Virginia from purging its voter rolls of alleged non-citizens and ordered the state to reinstate more than 1,600 people who were already been bounced from the voter rolls. This is one of the arguments we need to be able to have, almost even in the common ground area. Be like, I have a hard time with people that shouldn't legally voting. I have a problem with that. I have an immigrant girlfriend, and she's pretty serious about that one. That was a big damn deal to have the right to vote. She earned it. She had to pass a test. She knows more, well, she knew more about this country than most of us do. She had to study it to get that right to vote. But they're just giving that to anybody that comes here illegally. She had to wait. She got married. She did kind of marry into the thing. She got married, stayed in the Philippines for 1 year, waiting for the visa to allow her punk ass to come here. That is how it happened. But not with these guys across the border. And they got a right to vote immediately without doing a fucking thing. Yeah, that's what this nation was built on. Bullshit. Fuck you. You're the racist. I don't care. Call me whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Doesn't matter. That's insanity. That's not how this world works. It's not how this nation works. That's what we're trying to get back to. America first, right? If we need some extra workers because our birth death rate's getting fudged, all right, well, let's pump open some open doors for some people. Do it legally. See? They disagree. There's an alarm. There's a 5-alarm fire. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's kind of funny timing. Virginia School Board silences parents' concerns about the MS-13 affiliated students and the school lawsuit. So they're just like, whoa, no, you can't talk about this because it's not okay. But yeah, I know. Stop asking questions. Yeah, the kid's allowed to keep going to school. So he did something illegal. I don't know what he did exactly. I wanted to joke and say he did something, but they'd turn around and say I somehow inflicted damage on him. I don't want to do that. I don't know what he did. He did something. I know he was accused of, I feel like it was rape or something, whatever. Something. There was something he was accused of, allegedly. The good times. Good times today. I got an FCC license when I was younger. That helped me a lot. Trust me, they taught us a lot. All said. It's a different world. Reasons for optimism, they're saying. So total ballots by party. I hate this stuff, but I'm sharing it. Biden supposedly won Miami-Dade County by approximately 7% in 2020. Early voting right now is showing Republican voters are outpacing Democrats. This is early voting, which we are not known for doing. So, again, get out early. Get out early, early, early. Day of voting is probably going to be tainted. Probably dirty. Day of voting. Don't wait. Get it done early. If you can, in person on the machines. It'll just freak them out even more because then they'll be like, oh my God, everybody voted already and we've got to make up votes. So we'll see. It'll be so much fun. And then we'll fight the voter registration, the registration of voters, right? That we're going to fight that right after. Yes, they're going to cheat. We need every one of you guys to show up. I know you're going to get tired of hearing me say it, but I hope you understand why, because I got a lot of time. Freedom Caucus leader says North Carolina should consider giving Trump its electors before votes are counted. That's stupid. Now, Politico's putting this out. I understand if it's a political story right off the bat, you're like, all right, they're throwing a slant on it. What's their slant? Here's their slant. It's supposed to get you guys, and Politico's good about it. They're really good at the leading edge of conservatives. Like they're that first dagger in, because a lot of people will react positively to Politico's slant, and it gets them thinking in that direction. They're like, yeah. But this is exactly what they're saying. It's, should we just go ahead and give up the electors straight to Trump before we let everybody's count come? I hope your answer was no. Also, again, the tests that we're about to go through. Just because it favors us does not mean it's okay. That's what they do too. It must be legal, must be fair. Everyone's vote must count. All right? If you live in a state that somehow, like my state, well, I don't know. Washington State, maybe. Oregon, maybe. But maybe even not. I don't know. But if you live in a place that is voting in a way, it is. We got to hope our elections are secure. I feel like that's the only chance we have is to guarantee secure elections. And then they say, wow, there's really that many blue people here? Like, that'll be different. Like, if I feel like I can trust it. But I feel like that's all of our problem, right? We don't know if nobody trusts anybody right now. No, none of us. They don't trust us. We don't trust them. CNN talking about the fear.
All right. I went back through the time machine to see where were the past two races at this point in the campaign. Look, Harris in the average poll right now is up by 1, well within the margin of error. You go back 4 years ago, Joe Biden was well ahead of Donald Trump in the national popular vote polls. He was up by 9. Even Hillary Clinton was up by 6 points. So now Donald Trump's in a position he really hasn't been before at this point in the campaign where he could truly compete, and we can truly say that the popular vote at this point is way too close to call. Of course, this is only going back 8 years. I wanted to jump even further back in my time machine to get an understanding. Hey, I haven't heard about a Republican potentially winning the popular vote in a while. And it turns out a Republican winning the popular vote, it hasn't happened since 2004 in George W. Bush defeating John Kerry. And that's only the one time that it has happened. In fact, you have to go all the way back to 1988 to find another one when it was George W. Bush's father, George H.W. Bush, winning the popular vote over Michael Dukakis. So the fact that the polls right now are so close, John, the fact that Donald Trump has a legitimate shot of winning the popular vote is something I think a lot of folks, including in my line of work, really didn't think could possibly happen when Donald Trump was running last time around. He could make history, not just for Donald Trump, for a Republican candidate as well.
Now, there are some reasons for this, and I think Democrats' heads are all exploding out there watching this right now. There are some reasons for this, which you're going to explain, but also begin to raise the possibility that we could see the reverse. We could see the reverse of things we've seen, where a Republican wins the popular vote, but there's a chance for the Democrat to win the Electoral College.
Yeah, part of my job is to warn our viewers on either side of the aisle of an event that may occur that they don't necessarily like, and Donald Trump winning the popular vote could absolutely happen. You might as well wrap your minds around it now, folks, if you don't like Donald Trump. But
my favorite part, I guess, is when he said 1988. Like, it's 1988, Holmes, 2004, like 1988. Who the frick says it? Like, someone that was probably born after 2000, dude's probably not even 24. It just dawned on me. I was just like, 1988? This is the first time in my life I think I've ever heard somebody say the date that way. And it was the year 1988. When everybody was running around doing cocaine. It was a glorious time. Like, I don't know what they were saying back then. It feels like that's what they did in the 80s. I had a good teacher friend that tells me, he's like almost 80 years old, and he's like, yeah, I loved coke. That cracks me up. Dude's funny as fuck. Anyway, sorry. That's neither here nor there. And you shouldn't do drugs, kids. Just say no. Okay, can't imagine why there were 2 assassination attempts on President Trump's life this past summer, along with elevated threat levels right now. Dems know what they're doing with this hate speech. Such a disgrace. If anything happens to DJT or anyone on our team, Trump, you Dems have blood on your hands. And this is Dan Scavino posting this. Yeah, things are getting a little testy. Mitch McConnell and Speaker Johnson come out. Those feels very Mitch McConnell in voice. Maybe you got it. I'm curious what you guys think. You can throw it in the comments. By the way, hit the thumbs up if you can, and the subscribe button if you haven't. All said. Leader McConnell and Speaker Johnson's words to VP Harris. End the dangerous rhetoric. So, this summer, after the first attempted assassination of a presidential candidate in more than a century, President Biden insisted that we cannot allow this violence to be normalized. In September, after President Trump escaped yet another close call, Vice President Harris acknowledged that we all can do our part to ensure that this incident does not lead to more violence. Well, these words have proven hollow. In the weeks since the second sobering reminder, the Democratic nominee for President of the United States has only fanned the flames beneath a boiling cauldron of political animus. Her most recent and most reckless invocations of the darkest evil of the 20th century seem to dare it to boil over. The vice president's words more closely resemble those of President Trump's second would-be assassin than her own earlier appeal to civility. The man who caught waiting in ambush in Florida left others with a chilling call to arms. It is up to you now to finish the job. Labeling a political opponent as a fascist risks inviting yet another would-be assassin to try robbing voters of their choice before Election Day. Vice President Harris may want the American people to entrust her with the sacred duty of executive authority, but first, she must abandon the base and irresponsible rhetoric that endangers both American lives and institutions. We have both been briefed on the ongoing and persistent threat to former President Donald Trump by adversaries to the United States. And we call on Vice President to take these threats seriously, stop escalating the threat environment, and help ensure President Trump has the necessary resources to be protected from these threats. They're painting a picture, too, by the way, that what is obviously trying to happen. And we've got to put on the armor of God, keep on the armor of God, right? Keep Trump in a bubble if you're that concerned about him, right? Keep him in a bubble of Christ's white light. It's a very powerful visualization technique. And we're actually going to do a live show Tuesday coming up this week because it's going to be a week before the election. We're going to do a live show. We're going to have a talk about some things. I want to get a bunch of people there. It's going to be probably the most important live show I do, most likely. Maybe we'll do one more prior if it goes well. We might try it again. But I think it will be, for any of you guys that know anything about me, It's the one you want to show up for. I'm thinking 4 o'clock Pacific time, just to kind of keep it earlier than later, but 4 o'clock Pacific time, so it'll be 7 o'clock Eastern. You can figure out where you're at from there. Sorry, you have to do some math if you need to, but that's what I'm planning right now. Yeah, we're going to help make a difference. Okay, Patriots of Control put this out. Holy crapple, Batman. Stacey Williams, the woman who is now accusing Trump of groping her 1993, has been a Democrat volunteer for decades, we're finding out from CNN.
Williams has been engaged as a Democratic volunteer for decades and shared her story on a Zoom call on Monday at a Survivors for Kamala event, supporting the vice president's run, although the group is not affiliated with the campaign.
I felt like that was some sort of sick bet or game between the two of them.
With the election less than 2 weeks away, Williams arguing that her decision to speak out now was not driven by the presidential campaign, but with the release this week of a documentary about Sports Illustrated, one she participated in 2 years ago, during which she briefly alluded to the incident.
What do you say to those critics that say this is politically motivated?
I can't control when that documentary comes out. I can't control the fact that it's premiering 2 weeks before the election.
And she says she could not stay silent any longer.
It takes a lot of guts, and you have to really prepare yourself to be ready for that onslaught. And I'm ready now. Just bring it.
And despite her saying that the timing...
Strong words, nonetheless, whatever. How does one improve upon the 2020, the most, quote, secure election in U.S. history? How do we improve on that? Well, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan assured voters Thursday in the United States that the country is improving its fight against election interference. Sullivan appeared at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. Less than 2 weeks from Election Day, his nearly hour-long conversation surrounded the theme of artificial intelligence. During the conversation, an attendee asked the advisor to President Joe Biden if the administration would ever create an information czar position to fight the information. Sullivan, of course, said systems are already in place. Says, I think we have actually made substantial progress over the last 8 years, but there is a long way to go. We must now have systems in place that actually can pretty rapidly identify deep fakes and call them out. I don't know. Sullivan's one of the weird ones for me. He's one of the ones I get a kind of a good vibe. Not a good vibe, but like if there's a person that's switching hats at some point, it wouldn't surprise me if he comes out. But whatever. He's, I think, acknowledging the fact that there is major AI that was put in place. See, when AI became public and we started using it, it was already militarized. Trump was probably involved with that, if not started it. So I'm sure there's things in place. How this plays out, whether the military has to come in, I don't know. Our job is to get out and vote. Our job is to make sure everybody gets out and vote. Seriously, that's our job. There's a lot of stuff we got to help us do this and accomplish this, but we got to worry. We got to stay in our lane, worry about what we're here to do. House Republican threatens to subpoena Biden administration over alleged social media censorship. So they're digging deeper. They're actually censoring, subpoenaing, sorry, if I'm allowed to even use that word in that way. But they're going to subpoena threat shared first here. It comes after Macy's request for information in September, and the administration did not respond. This is a letter to the White House obtained by NBC. Macy wrote that the responsibility of the administration to be transparent about their interactions with social media companies before the election, so voters are aware of what steps the government may be taking to limit the flow of certain types of information. They're not giving information at all. Maybe it's taken time, and that's going to be their complaint, but or if not, I'm giving you one. But whatever, you hire people, hello, you just spend money like it's going out of style anyway. So yeah, they're slow walking it. Let's just call it what it is. GOP House Oversight Panel widens probe on NewsGuard, requesting information on the government contracts. So this is the group that was trying to say which advertisers or which content creators were worthy of advertisement. They were guarding the news or stuff like that. So anywho, they're being investigated by Congress, and they're digging in, and they're getting some documents too. We'll see where it gets. It's early on, or too early anyways. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey on Thursday announces an investigation into Google for allegedly suppressing conservative speech during the election cycle. Again, everyone's paying attention going into this. Everybody. This is going to be extraordinarily difficult for the deep state. Yes, they're going to cheat. Of course, we're going to catch you in all of your acts. We'll probably catch you even up to the point where you might try to call it for yourselves. We'll see. Be strong, guys. This is going to be the moment for all of us. Top Democrats requesting A.G. Garland to appoint a special counsel to investigate Kushner. I don't know where the hell this is coming from. I mean, it's Chairman Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon. That makes lots of sense. And Rep. Jamie Raskin, Maryland retard. So, yar, matey Raskin is involved again, are you? I mean, frick, really, man? This dude's out of control. So, yeah, they're going after... I mean, again, I have no love for Kushner. I feel like he's got so much bad mojo on this whole presidential thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if he's a mistake or what, but I know he's been out in Saudi Arabia. I think he's made the Trump family like crap tons of money. So I think they hate that. He's made some pretty sweet deals, I guess, and probably made a bunch of money himself. Apparently, there's a bunch of bars in Houston that have been closed after they found trafficking. So here's what they're basically doing in a nutshell. I don't want to play this whole thing since it's this one area in Texas, Tejas, ooh, get a taco. But it's what they're doing is they've got these bars that are fully staffed by illegal people that are working off the cartel stuff. So they're basically cartel owned. And so they get free labor, slave labor, to pay off the debts that they're getting for coming over here. Again, people trafficking. And this is still okay with the Biden administration. It's not cool. Whenever you do things ridiculously, then all of a sudden the black market suddenly has a place for it to start to spread in a really nasty, bad way, right? So again, here we are living through it. Apparently, Barron Trump, he's like the mastermind when it comes to which podcasts that his father should do. And I think it's been working out well for him. It was cool. They showed a picture of Barron. Doesn't he look like young Donald? It's so funny. And there's a lot of people that are like, it's Donald's a time traveler. All right, whatever. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't disregard things. I just sometimes think, we'll see if we get more evidence. But he does look like his father. That's for sure. But yeah, just cool as hell. Smart kid. I don't know. I look forward to getting to know him better. Not like necessarily personally. Might happen in time, but no. Here is, this is pretty just cool. This is, let's play it. It's all Trump stuff right now, so.
For all Mexican Americans, Hispanic Americans, to vote for President Trump. And I know we will win for the third time. For the third time. Yes. Yes. We will win for the third time. And that's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Because it's true. Because it's true. Look what is happening right now. Look what is happening right now with these evil people. Obama, Hillary, Kamala, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, all this team. There's more than 300,000 children, over 300,000 children that they came through the border, they released them, and we don't know where they are. Kamala, where are the children? Kamala, where are the children? These people, Kamala and Biden, they're the biggest human traffickers in the history. And everyone knows that. And that's why I'm here to give my 100% to support my dear friend, President Donald Trump. And again, we will win for the third time.
And just again, a reminder. I've said it before. I don't say it often enough for some people, but 300,000 children just missing. It's okay though. It's just 300,000. It's not like it's a bunch. I mean, if it was a lot of children, we should probably talk about it. But it's only 300,000 children missing. 300,000. That's all. I mean, if you had $300,000 in your pocket right now, you'd be like, I'm definitely getting that VCR, right? You would. No, probably not. But still, remember this. We're going to win. I think we're going to win. Maybe bigger than bigger understands. Donald Trump, I love the way he talks like I do. Or I talk like he, whatever.
So when I win on November 5th, to migrate, and remember this, we're going to win. I think we're going to win maybe bigger than anyone understands. Have to get out of the way.
And unfortunately, my ability to be able to, what does he call it, weave? My weaving ability is drastically hurt by my desire to use herbal things within my foods or whatever, or something. I'm just trying to say without saying. All said. President Trump, if we're leading by a lot, then won't think cheating as much than if we're leading by a little. Here's, again, one of those moments where it's like, I want to believe. I wanna. See, this, I still weave decently. I just sometimes it crashes. But yes, we are definitely in a strong place. You are making a difference. Your ripples matter so much. Nailing this, or if we have to do that one just to be like more like Jean-Pierre. I was like totally laughing at myself when I did that the other day. Anyway, here's some pretty solid stuff.
And by the way, we're leading in Michigan by a lot. We're leading in Wisconsin by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. But I'm not supposed to say that. Just forget it. Pretend it's close. Everybody has to. No, they're afraid that if you hear that, they're not going to vote. I said, well, it's a double-edged sword. If we're leading by a lot, they won't think about cheating as much as if we're just leading by a little bit, because we got to stop. We got to make these elections honorable and honest, or we're going to do it.
Because we don't have, most of us agree that our elections are way too easy to change. And a lot of us live in places where we're like, everyone I talk to is like, this is ridiculous. Like, even people on the other side of the political fence don't I don't know, I didn't vote for it. And they're like, huh? How'd it pass? So, we'll see. There's a lot that we got to do. Trump lawyers moved to dismiss Jack Smith 2020 election charges claim that was going on because they don't think he was legally appointed. I think this is the attempt to get this one up to the Supreme Court. This ought to be fun. So we'll see where it goes. Again, it's early on, but that movement has begun, it seems. Okay. So much going on. Oh, just love these people. I keep forgetting to turn my camera on. You guys, I had some great hand gestures going on that I missed, and I was like, shit. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Look, I don't want to go a long way on this today, and I say that, and then I do like a 14-hour long commercial. I get you. Dogs, cats, they got really, really cool stuff. Mush puppies. This says that mushroom Coriolis versicolor. That's an immune system enhancement. There's studies, all sorts. Awesome. It works very well. The easy way to get into it, Mush Puppies is a great way to get in and start getting this experience inside your animal. If they've got immune system issues, they've got sicknesses that seem to be there, just try it. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that have talked about how great this product works. Got it for humans too. It's funny. But yeah, get this. It's like a cookie. So you give them that. There's ways to get serious about it if you like the product and are serious about it. There's super sauce. You can put that on top of their food. They've got foods and everything else. And they've got mojos for dogs and cats. And this is really the one for cats. If you got a cat and you want to be able to give this easily to them in a treat form, it's a piece of liver with the mushroom Coriolis versicolor in it. So this is the way to do it too. Mush Puppy is like a cookie with the mushroom in it. So again, a cat's not going to eat that, right? But dogs will eat liver too. So if you're even a person that's got one of each, maybe you just buy one bag of Mojos and try it out and see. And again, $17.99. You're just stepping in for nothing. Go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. A whole bunch of studies have shown that this works. There's actually ones for horses, mush ponies. Got a couple ways those can go. They also got this pet balm is a new thing they're doing where you can rub it on their paws, their noses, horses as well. And it's actually just a very healthy, natural, homeopathic, whatever the hell that word is. Homeopathic, I think. Yeah, that's probably close. It's a good way to do that. Oh, man, I suck. And there's some human stuff, too. I don't know if we sell that for people. Yeah, they do. They got body balm. So you can just rub that all over your precious parts. I have no idea what's in it. Makes me wonder. That's awesome. Yeah. Skin rejuvenation. Interesting. Forest Natural. Yeah, so good. Anyway, a lot of great products. I've already gone longer than I wanted. It is danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Just amazing products. Please check them out. I think you'll be surprised the differences. And I, by the way, take them myself. It makes a difference. It's helped in so many interesting ways. I feel better in a lot of ways. So anyway, good stuff. Keep it moving. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. This is good. This is interesting. If this is true, this is significant. This is also something that weighs on someone like myself heavily. There's a lot of people that are like, Dan, you could do this, 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 this. I know. There's this weird, funny thing about getting too big, and there's also this funny thing about being too small. But there is, this is not an easy set of waters to navigate for any content creators out there. It's not about being the biggest per se. Being the biggest makes you the largest target. That's not always a good thing. And if you're not geared for it or not prepared for it, it will destroy you. And Tim Pool, I think, and I have respect for the man. I didn't necessarily like his push for civil war. It was one thing that bummed me out before we were going into the last election, I think it was. But I do honor where he's at and how he's kind of changed and transversed and become. And I also find that this is sort of an awakening with him to an interesting extent. I wanted to share it because I thought it exposes, I know I'm a teacher of teachers. I just feel like there's a lot of you guys out there that are probably content creators in some way, shape, or form. And I hope you are, at least. You better be. But this is things to keep in mind. And, you know, having a lot of employees and a lot of overhead and a lot of stuff is cool when you can, but doesn't always necessarily generate and work the way they say. Sometimes just being able to hold it down yourself, you know what I mean? And that's kind of his point. I don't want to steal it all, but it's neat to hear the story.
The show is over. But yeah, I think this might be the end. We are well off. It is not a financial thing. We make a lot of money. But piece by piece, the structure becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes impossible to manage. You know, I would never call out anybody personally or individually. I would just say that, like, compounding, I don't know, laziness. Yeah, that builds up over time, which adds more and more workload to, you know, me and Allison, to get to the point where we're just like, can't do it. We do really well. And, you know, the problem is, without a proper CEO who isn't hosting the show, it's not possible. Like, I think we have like 30-something employees. And so, you know, the conversations I've had with family is like, I am under no illusions that I have the capability to make this company what it could be. And I hear all these things, no, Tim, you're wrong. Oh, come on. We've been trying to get a coffee shop open for 2 years. Yeah. Clearly, I cannot do it. I skateboard every day. Yeah, if we can't make cameras and a computer work, and despite all the previous failures we've had, there's not a single person here who can make sure that either the studio is operating or secondary studio is operating. We've gotten to a point in the company where everyone's kind of just kicked their feet up and said, I'm doing what I need to be doing. Yeah. And then that just means I'm Sisyphus pushing the rock up. The problem is people are sitting on the rock. We have this awesome property. We have skate parks. We have Willy Wonka's candy factory or whatever, chocolate factory. Why can't we get people to just do something? Again, like, not calling anybody. I don't want to insult anyone directly, but it's just seeing someone stand around, do nothing. And then the challenge is, in order to make this show operate, I have to work what is effectively 16 hours a day. So I haven't had it's fair to say, weekday sunset in 4 years. You know, like, just through the window or something, or now that we're in the new studio, there's no windows at all. Wow, what if I finished work at a normal time like everybody else and just, I don't know, hopped in the car and went down to the river and looked at frogs? Yeah. If I show up in the morning and I do my morning show, I get to give a portion of the work that I do to them so that they can try and make something work. And, you know, I know they're trying as hard as they can, and some more successful than others, but it just becomes too burdensome. To the point where, unless they get off the ground and are able to maintain and manage themselves and make money, we can't do it anymore. There's a degree of staff required to run a show like this, and it's, I gotta work 16 hours every single day to the bone, and figuratively say I get no weekday sunsets, so that someone else can be like, I ain't gonna fix it. And there are a lot of people here who are willing to do a lot more and go above and beyond. Yeah, Raymond's sitting right here. Yeah. You know, and that's why I was like, yeah, you should sit in this one. And then there are a lot of people that are like, when can I put the knife in Tim's bag? I can keep doing my morning show, there's no issue. Yeah. I require 0 employees to do that. So I kind of feel like I shouldn't get paid less for, like, so I'll give you some stories. We've had instances of people who work here leaking private information to far leftists who are harassing and stalking us.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We've had instances of people stealing equipment, getting caught on camera.
this is a big part of where we're at. And I think of people like John Harold. I love the guy. I mean, I've talked to him a couple times, and I have mad respect for him. I actually mad respect. But I know he's created an empire. And it's what you're supposed to do in the old world, but the new world's kind of weird. It doesn't work the same way. And a lot of these gentlemen are learning that that's not really the way to go. So thinking old world ways is not necessarily the new world. A lot of you guys just making your own thing that you can maintain on your own and try to improve as you can. Maybe eventually, you get a spouse or a friend to come in and help in some way that, whatever. You can maybe eventually be able to pay for them. But ultimately, it's not really the point. It's about holding down the fort. It's about making the difference, being consistent. Being consistent is actually the biggest thing. It's just a statistic. People like that. If you're only going to do 2 shows a week, you better do 2 shows a week, and it better be the same days. It's really true. It's what you got to do. You either commit to what you can do and hold to it, because it matters. Secretive $120 million weapon built for U.S. Space Force that jams Russian and Chinese satellites is finally set to deliver as flaws are fixed following 2-year delay. I don't know. It seems like the good guys got involved in some stuff. This weapon would, if it's true, which is funny we're talking about it like this, makes me think it's already up there. But whatever. It's not launched yet, Russia and China. That being said, jams Russian, Chinese satellites. It makes a lot of electronic noise. So it gets up. It's like they'd call it like a sonar buoy back in the old day, I think, or a chaff for an airplane, or if even flare kind of for IR, but like chaff mostly. It's this thing that makes this noise. And because of that, none of the satellites would work properly. It doesn't damage them. It's just a noisemaker. Really loud noisemaker. Like super bright light when you're trying to look at something, you're trying to read something, and you're like, it's fudge. Kind of like that. That'd probably be the best way to describe it in human terms. Biden administration, they're saying, isn't colluding with Iran, but it appears that they're taking orders from Iran. They're talking about Ariane Tabatabai. I think I'm getting close, is now the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, the Force Education and Training within the Office of the Secretary of Defense. So she's probably tied to the Iranian government directly, and she is now inside the Office of the Secretary of Defense. We shouldn't be nervous at all. Chinese hackers are said to have targeted phones used by Trump and Vance. I think this, again, is the deep state targeting Vance and Trump's phones and blaming China. There's a lot of weird stories going around. Whenever they throw a country at it, they want you to hate the country. Okay? First off, love Chinese food. I'm never, ever going to hate China. And second off, I've got some really good friends that are Chinese. No, it's not Chinese people. It's not China. It is the friggin' CCP. That is the deep state component of China. We have a deep state component with the United States. It's not the United States that are total assholes. It's just them. It's them, right? England. I don't know where it roots in. You guys, obviously the monarch, but there's more, obviously, and all the parliament and all this shit. Europe is all fucked up with all of its crazy shit. Y'all are going to figure it out. It doesn't even make sense to most of us Americans. We're trying to figure out our own problems, right? So get on it. That's your job. Right? You got a few countries out there that are actually doing it. So we are in a place right now where they're going to blame countries. It's not the country. Ever. Unless that country is fully one way or the other. And right now we're heavily deep state. They don't want to let go of the power, guys. They don't want to let go of the power. We're not playing all this by any stretch of the imagination. But Tucker Carlson, I guess, was on with Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, and they were saying the intel agencies are a threat to our country. She's not guessing. She spent 10 years as a CIA officer before running Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign. She's now campaigning for Trump. Now, again, I have a hard time with CIA and people that are ex-CIA, so whatever. I mean, is this a CIA operative? You get on Tucker, and it's a tough thing. It's unfortunate. It's just like you came from a very schooled place on how to fuck with people, and now you're in a place where you can totally fuck with people. Funny how that is. And when they got to tell you, too, by the way. So, I don't know. I don't trust these things often. There's a few people out there right now that are, I know people are like, well, that means he understands it. That also could mean that they're part of it. Elon Musk has maintained regular communications with President Putin since late 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported. They confirmed by the U.S., European, and Russian officials. She talks over personal, business, and geopolitical issues and appear to be well-guarded secret with several White House officials. So, yeah, we're supposed to be concerned with the fact that Elon just brought, by the way, some Russian cosmonauts back from the space station. Just FYI, they came back with the Boeing people. They landed, I think, today or yesterday. That's pretty awesome. It was pretty cool. I watched, not the land ending. It's almost at the point where, like the space shuttle, they're like, yeah, you're on. I've seen that a bunch of times. But when it landed, anyway. So, yeah, he's talking to Putin, supposedly. Okay, if that's bad, that's bad. And then on top of that, I actually think what's going on in the world right now is there's some key people that are probably good people that are starting to talk to each other. And the net is tightening. So that's what I think this is about. They're pushing out information to try to freak people out. Or, Russia, China. Again, if they blame a country, it's not what's going on. In fact, those countries are probably some of the biggest ones that are trying to help frickin' fix this. So just, I don't know, be open. That's all. I think most of you guys get it. Germany's Vice Chancellor, Havoc, he said Green Party members demand Chinese-like censorship of social media platform X because Elon Musk supports Trump. And at the end, he's like, you can't be dictating what happens in EU. And it's like, well, you can't dictate what happens here in the United States. And it happens to be a U.S. company. So as we say here, well, actually, as you say there, fick du. Yeah, I actually know that in German, by the way. I had some German soccer players stay at my house. Yeah, Dummkopf. So I've been there. I hear you. But you can, as we say here, STFU. Yeah, shut the F up. That's all. Sir. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful. Yeah, who does that? Owner and manager of the cargo ship responsible for that collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge, they have agreed to pay $100 million. $100 million. Well, it's actually supposedly happening. That's kind of cool. I'm not giving anybody credit for it, but that's cool. Finally, weird, shocking video photos have surfaced of some Diddy parties. Diddy's always apparent, but everybody else's faces are grayed out in a major way where it's really almost impossible to figure out who they might be. So stuff's being dropped. Deep state's being threatened. There is a thing happening. This is going to get interesting. Where we talked about the possibility of, 10 Days of Darkness or military getting involved, or like the Brunson case could possibly come into play after how this election plays out or how they cheat. There is some major things happening right now. And so the best that we can do as individuals, unless you're directly involved in these things, right? And if you are, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not, and you're like, oh my God. Okay, here's what you do. Vote in person early. There you go. You get that accomplished, hit me up. I might be able to give you something else to go, extra credit if you want. But let's get the first and only thing that matters done. Let's cover the one checkbox that has to happen. Your voice has to be recorded. Has to be. Your voice has to be recorded. You want to get through the eye of the needle, you must record your voice. I'm sorry, I'm doing it too. I hate it. It's almost like a vaccination. I feel like I'm in line right now too, and it sucks. It's what we got to do. Suck it up, soldier. It's time. Guys, we got this. We're going to cover this. We're going to make this world different. But we got to get through this. We're just proving a point to them. It's got to be the numbers. That's what matters. It's not that you vote. It's not that they can come after you. It's the numbers. We need the numbers. Got to make sure everybody's there. I love you guys. Live show coming up here, about an hour and a half. I got to get some editing and uploading going on quick. But we've got a live show coming up for Music, Foreigner, Fun Times. And again, I'm going to start doing the The stuff Alpha, and I don't know what's going on with Alpha, so the stuff I was doing with him, I'm going to spin that into a new thing. I just want to pre-record some of the stuff before leading up to it, just for people that maybe never saw it. So that Law of One stuff is going to continue. That was why I created this channel to begin with. That was literally what I created this channel for, was to do Law of One videos, so I didn't have to tie them into my other channel. So, yeah, it's just the way it is, folks. I love you guys. We're going to do this. We're going to get through this. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.